Thank you, Brother John, for the reading of the daily word. And thank you for whoever it was out there in Unity Village whose assignment it was to do the daily word for this month. They tapped into the source and gave us a gem there, and I appreciate it. Well, today's theme of concentration is based on the fact that one of my favorite things to remind myself of and others is vote for what you want, and then choose what you get. Vote for what you want, and then choose what you get. Vote for what you want, and then choose what you get. Why was this important for the Spirit to speak to me years ago? It was important that the Spirit spoke these words to me because the Spirit found me in a place of arguing with what is. I was arguing with what is. And every time we are arguing with what is, we cannot maintain a mind of peace. Our third unity principle is, and we have had it read 3 times, spoken 3 or 4 times already. I create my experiences by the activity of my thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Well, what that indicates to me is that I really will serve myself to become aware of the realm of my thinking, the realm of my believing. Because if my experience is sponsored by the activity of my thinking, then I can know that peace of mind, a mind filled with peace, is the biggest goal I need to have. That's the prize. That's the gold ring. Me developing a state of mind that is at peace, that is at ease, always, in all ways, regardless of what happens in my life. I told the gathering at the Burning Bowl service on Friday that we will always, at some point, be harassed by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as our brother Billy Shakespeare would have put it. They will come. The crap will keep hitting the fire. If our prayer is that this new year is strikingly different from those that appeared before, we may or may not get that prayer answered. If our prayer is for peace to suddenly reign in the world, for people to drop their weapons, turn their swords and their shields into plowshares, for us to sit together under a fig tree, singing the song, I will study war no more. These things may or may not happen. I may not have that new year in my surround. I have to have as my goal to be a new me. If I am a new me, I will automatically have a new year. If I bring the same old I am statements of Carlos Wayne from the year 2021 into this year, I will still have the same year I had in 2021. Back to the question for today, however. Can you be at peace with what is while faithfully believing in the coming into being of what is not yet to appear? Can I be happy with what is just as it is, while still holding on to my vote, my faith in a better manifestation, a brighter manifestation, a clearer manifestation? I can, and it'll take work. I must till the garden of my mind. Weeds will sprout up, and it's up to me to pull them out. The weeds in the garden of my mind, not in the garden of my surround. The principle does not say my surround determines my experience. The things I'm going through determine my experience. It says in no uncertain terms, I create my experience by the activity of my thinking. How can I be at peace with what is when what is seems to be contrary to what I want? It takes work. It's not automatic. And I must tell you, particularly when our challenges are connected to the body, particularly then, that we are tempted to believe we are the body, that my personality, my physical vehicle is who I am, when it is not. I told you that for over 12 years, until recently, and in your own witness, for 12 plus years, my body was dealing with a digestive issue that my doctors told me, you are slowly dying. This condition is slowly killing you. It wasn't cancer. It wasn't AIDS. It was none of the biggies. It was a digestive issue. But the diagnosis was the same. If we don't get this resolved, you will surely die. You are surely dying daily as we speak. I'll tell you what I did with that. Every day, in the midst of the appearance of my disease, of my digestive system, I was completely at the mercy of this condition. It came along with stomach cramps and pain, sharp pains sometimes, dull pains sometimes. It came with running to the bathroom. I don't know if anyone who doesn't live in my house fully does believe that sometimes I was running to the bathroom 20 some times a day. I'll tell you what I was doing when I ran to the bathroom and the affirmation I spoke while in the bathroom. With my stomach cramps, knowing that my body was eliminating no nutrients because it was stripped of them, no minerals, it was stripped of them, no life-giving material because it was stripped of them. I have a mirror on the wall in front of my toilet, and I looked into my eyes while going through this day after day for over 12 years. I plastered a smile on my face, and I looked into my eyes, and I said, I am in the best of health, physically, mentally, emotionally. I am in the best of health, completely, eternally, regardless of the appearances of things seen. I am in the best of health, physically, emotionally, mentally. I am in the best of health. 2 or 3 years into it, my brother Timothy asked me with deep concern and with much, much hurt in his heart for what his brother was going through. And he said, hey, Losi, is nothing going to stop you from doing your affirmation? And I said, nothing will. I believe I'll keep on. It was clear to me that I could fall over in the bathroom. My heart could stop beating. I could flatline. But I knew that should that happen, it would happen while I was telling my inner truth that I am in the best of health, physically, emotionally, mentally, completely, eternally. I am in the best of health. What I have been taught and what I believe about faith is that faith is something we can only exercise previous to the manifestation. Faith we exercise before we get what we're voting for. I kept voting for a healing of my entire digestive system. And every day I hadn't got it, I was called upon to choose what I got, which was still the challenge, still the symptoms, still the discomfort, still the complete life change that was imposed upon me. I couldn't go out into town, not often. And when I did, I have to become aware of any store in any vicinity that had a men's room, that had a place to sit down. When this came on, it was an entirely different world I was living in. There were times where I had to put on a diaper to go out and go to church and preach the good news that I have every reason to be glad. And no matter what the symptoms looked like, no matter how intense they became, nothing could take away my glad song declaration, my affirmation. I am in the best of health, physically, emotionally, mentally, completely, eternally. I am in the best of health. One of our brothers, Paul of the Scriptures, said this: brothers and sisters, I have learned the secret. I have learned the secret to be content and satisfied, whether I abound or whether I am abased. What this means for me is that Brother Paul was telling me, Brother Carlos, I have learned the secret to be content and satisfied in all situations, always, in all ways, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, in good times and in challenging times. I've learned the secret to not have my contentment or my satisfaction dependent upon whether I'm up or down, whether I have food to eat or I'm hungry, whether I have no shelter or whether I live in a mountain, on a mountain in a mansion. Whether those I like me or not, whether I get that job or not, whether my children or parents or siblings are behaving or not, I have a secret. I have learned to be satisfied and content in all situations. I wed myself to getting to that place that my brother Paul talked about. I said, shucks, I want to be like that. I have a tendency to be happy, content, and satisfied when I get my way, and unsatisfied and without contentment when I don't get my way. I have the proclivity to be at peace, to have assurance, to be satisfied, to be content when my body is filled and overflowing with health, and the bodies of my loved ones are filled and overflowing with health. That's when I'm content. My brother Paul is inviting me into another place, a place of being content and satisfied, come what may. On Friday, at our candle lighting and burning bowl ceremony, I said to the people, aren't you tired? Aren't you sick and tired of being like a reed shaking in the wind? That whatever happens in politics can shake you to the core. Whatever happens in the world can shake you to the core. Whatever happens, if there's any appearance of lack or limitation in your finances, shaken to the core. A spot on the lungs shakes me to the core. An incapacity to hold my bowel movements 20 times a day shakes me to the core. I am tired of being like a reed shaking in the wind. I said, aren't you? Wouldn't you love to be like a tree planted by the living waters that cannot be moved? Regardless of what happens in the surround, regardless of the appearance of at ease or dis-ease in the body. If you want to be like a tree planted by the water that cannot be moved by any appearance of dis-ease on any level of manifestation, and you are in fact done with being a reed shaking in the wind, then you have to die and be born again. It's a mental process. It's a choice. How can I choose what I get while still firmly holding to faith that I will have my vote counted? I have to do that on purpose. It is not the natural tendencies of human beings. We human beings have become so completely immersed in body identification. We forget that we are in a spacesuit. that the body is a space suit. And I'll tell you one thing I know about a spacesuit. A spacesuit, whether I like it or not, my spacesuit has an end date. My spacesuit will not go on forever. My spacesuit has an expiration date. The scriptures have said, Carlos Wayne, forget not. Your days in that spacesuit are numbered. I don't know when that number will be up. I'm not in charge of how long I will live. God is. I am in charge of how I will live while I live. And if it is possible for me to live while I live in a state of mind that is at ease, that will be enough for me. Because the truth is, I don't live in my body. I live in my mind. And the truth is, as we meditated on, my body is in my mind. It is not the other way around. Principle number 3 reminds me that my state of mind determines my state of affairs, including to much degree the state of my body. So a state of mind that is at peace will sponsor peace in my body and in the world of my affairs. All scientists and doctors agree how important it is to have a peaceful state of mind when we are going through a physical challenge. When my mind is at a place of dis-ease, because my body has the appearance of dis-ease, I have it the other way around. I fall into the erroneous misconception that the state of my body determines the state of my mind. It's such an easy erroneous thought to buy into, because once again, body identification is so big. But the state of my body cannot determine the state of my mind unless I invite it to. I must stop it in its tracks. And I must remember, it is the state of my mind that influences the state of my body. So once more, I am not authorized to determine how long I will live. I am fully authorized to determine how I will live while I live. I have a friend, one of the friends I grew up around, and we all got married in our 20s. And this one friend, all the couples used to get together and hang out. And soon after couples got married, they automatically were thinking, let's start a family. Let's have some babies, y'all. Come on now, let's have some babies. And one of my friends, Shirley, she wanted a baby, but she didn't want to be pregnant. She really, really, really wanted a baby. And she really, really, really detested everything about being pregnant. The discomfort, the backaches, the throwing up, the wooziness. She complained, 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 arguing, 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 arguing with what is. What is that when you are pregnant, there are body and hormonal changes. She argued against every one of them. What is that the body will begin to shift. There will be discomfort involved. There will be swelling involved. She argued with what is for 9 months. And then when her baby was delivered in her arms, she was finally happy and finally at peace. She voted for that baby. And she couldn't peacefully choose the what is that was necessary to the birth of what she wanted to be. Sometimes when we're going through challenges, particularly physical challenges, particularly when there is the appearance of dis-ease, and particularly when we have been informed that this particular form of dis-ease could end up, as my doctors looked in my eyes and told me, you could easily die. Some have more than we can count. You are dying as we speak. As she spoke those words, I was speaking these. My body is in my mind. It is not the other way around. My body is in my mind. I am in the best of health, physically, emotionally, mentally, completely, eternally. I am in the best of health. And I kept on holding to the vision of one day, on just the right day, my condition would be resolved. That's where I place my faith in a positive outcome. As I've said before, you're always exercising faith. It is either faith in a negative outcome or faith in a positive outcome. And yes, so even as I did these affirmations, as I spoke my inner truth in the face of my doctor saying, you are slowly dying, little brother, I knew that I possibly might take my last breath. Possibly my heart might stop beating. Possibly I might flatline on any day. But on that day, I would exit my spacesuit with a smile, knowing that though I didn't determine how long I lived, I did determine how I lived. I kept voting for what I want. And then I kept choosing what I got. If you are arguing against what is, you can have no peace of mind. Peace of mind is only available to those who accept what is, even embrace what is. I've had several friends in my life who have had their different responses to a diagnosis of cancer or AIDS or lupus or others. Some of them spoke to the cancer and said, what have you come to teach me? All I've been doing is trying to get rid of you. I treat you like an enemy. I treat you like an unwelcome guest. I have hated your visit in my body. I keep pushing you away in anger, in upset. But I'm going to try a different approach. Let me treat you as a visitor who has come to tell me something. What have you come to teach me? And they have gotten whatever lesson they have gotten. Others have drawn pictures of themselves and pictures of the light, blasting these shadow cells away into the return to the nothingness from whence you came. And that was their process. I have known a number of people who have overcome cancer. I have known people who have overcome AIDS. I have known many who did not overcome either. I have overcome my digestive situation. Many did not. An attitude of gratitude goes a long way. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God mind and therefore brings forth wisdom, health, prosperity, and everything good. When I am voting for a baby, how can I choose 9 months of discomfort to get one? On purpose, by choosing to. If I'm going through a challenge, how can I be content and satisfied without having that challenge resolved? Faith. Faith can't be exercised after the resolvement happens, after the challenge has been resolved, after the goodies have been gotten. No. For faith to be faith, it requires the absence of the manifestation of what you voted for. Because faith is the substance of things hoped for. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. And a life of faith is a life of a mind that is content, at ease, always, in all ways. Once more, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, in good times and in challenging times. Don't argue with what is. What is has come to pass. Let it pass. Embrace it. And if you can't embrace it, at least accept it. What is. And it is while it is becoming. It is unfolding. On Friday, at our service for our burning bowl, I told the people that the year 2021 was comprised of minutes. There's a song from a Broadway play called Rent from many years ago, a couple of decades ago at least. And one of the songs was Seasons of Love. How do you count the minutes of a year? That song informs me that there are 525,600 minutes in a year. And that we have been blessed to be together throughout the entire 525,600 minutes of the year of our Lord, 2021. But there were some not on that Zoom because it was their year of laying that spacesuit down and returning as the light to the light. And that it is possible that some of us on our Zoom today may not be in our spacesuit at the end of 525,600 more minutes. So minutes count. I don't want to spend any of my minutes arguing what is. I want to spend them voting for what I want and choosing what I get, because that's the only way I can have peace of mind. And peace of mind is where it starts. I create my experiences by the activity of my thinking. Everything in my personal world has been sponsored by my own personal thinking. That's a lot of power the Creator has given me. The power to determine how I am in any moment. The power to determine whether I will be a reed shaking in the wind or a tree planted by the living water that can't be moved. I didn't bring the Carlos I was in 2021 into this service this morning. I let him die Friday night. I couldn't let him come into this new year if I wanted a new year. I had to step into what I love my brother Neil Donald Walsh for informing me in his language. I had said the same thing myself in different words, but when I ran across his, I said, I'll lay mine down and pick up my brother's, because the poetry and the profundity of how my brother put it electrifies me. He said, Carlos Wayne, every moment offers you an opportunity to recreate yourself anew as the next grandest version of the greatest vision ever you have held of who you are. Oh my God. When I read that in one of his books, I jumped out of my seat. The cells of my body were dancing around like Pentecostal brothers and sisters filled with the Holy Ghost and fire. I said, wait a minute, back up and run that by me again, brother. Carlos, each moment offers you an opportunity to recreate yourself anew as the next grandest version of the greatest vision ever you have held of who you are. I'm going to bring my little sister Crystal in before I let you go. My little sister, the baby of the family, 3.5 years younger than me, was born wanting to die, the doctor said. Born with asthma so intense that she went into convulsions, her eyes would roll back in her head, she would bubbles out of her mouth, and she was almost lost several times. She was prematurely born. And it was always about, we may lose Crystal, we may lose Chrissy, we may lose Chrissy. A lot of our early prayers were, please don't let Chrissy die. We were put into a little family gospel group And we sang around the circuits of the Pentecostal churches and throughout Illinois. We were called the Anderson Wonders. And my sister Chrissy was 3 years old when we began this little group. Unbeknownst to us, she was in a daycare in Springfield that she was put in when she was 2.5. And unbeknownst to us, she was being molested there. A number of the 2- and 3-year-olds in this daycare center were being molested. That was not disclosed. It didn't come out until many years later. All we knew is that when we were dropping off Chrissy at the daycare, she would scream and cry and yell and dig her fingernails into the car seat, trying not to get dragged out of the car and taken into the house. We knew that when she got out, she said, "The devil lives there. The devil lives there." And when we got home, she would go into a corner and she would sit in a corner and put her thumb in her mouth and twist her hair. And she would rock back and forth. And she made up a little tune to go with her little song. And the little song was, "Nobody loves me, nobody cares. Nobody loves me, I drown in tears." And she sang it over and over, and nobody could stop her until she was exhausted. The song she had was, "Tell me, can you see? Can you walk? Can you hear? Can you talk? Well, you don't know just how blessed you are. Do you have a father, a mother, a sister, a brother? Well, you don't know just how blessed you are. You see, there are millions right now who would give most anything if they had eyes to see. If they had legs to walk. If they had ears to hear. If they had a mouth to talk. Or if they had most anything. So if you have a place of any kind, a shanty, a shack, or if you have one friend who would loan you a dime, well, you don't know just how blessed you are. That was her little solo, 3 years old, going through what none of us knew she was going through. Years later, when everything was disclosed, our little sister Chrissy said, "The only thing that brought me through was singing that song that got me counting my blessings. I got dropped off at a house where the devil lived." But that's not the only thing that was going on in my life. I had these other blessings, and my song reminded me of it. You may be experiencing the appearance of dis-ease somewhere in your body, the appearance of dis-ease in your finances, the appearance of dis-ease in your relationships. You may have dreams deferred, plans that were shattered, dreams never realized. You may have been deceived by someone you trusted. You, like everyone, has come up against, thank you, Billy Shakespeare, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. But that's not all that's going on. Tell me, can you see? Can you walk? Can you hear? Can you talk? Well, you don't know just how blessed you are. Vote for what you want because it's available. Don't lose faith in a positive outcome. But while waiting for the manifestation of your prayer to be answered, choose what you get. Choose to be pregnant while you're pregnant. One day you'll give birth to that baby. Rest assured, I create my experience by the activity of my thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are just the beginning. I must also live the truth I know. My body is in my mind. It is not the other way around. My body is in my mind. Amen.